I think if you think you're an artist, you have to taper back your feeling of being an artist like 50% or something. It's not just being a workman and being blue collar. You don't want to just be that, but you also don't want to just be a highfalutin, fancy pants artist. You want to find a blend. You want to be a workman. You want to put in your hours. You want to do the hard work. You want to get dirty, but you also want to have a vision. The vision should not get in the way of the hard work being done. If you're staring at wallpaper, if you're staring at two different types of wallpaper, looking back and forth all day, thinking, is this paisley, is this better than this one? It could be better than this one. If this one had a little bit more gold leaf on it, it would be perfect. I'll try that. I did it, didn't do anything. I'll make more swirls on this one. Okay, this one needs, if that's your creative process, you have strayed too far into being an artist, okay? You have to hold yourself to some sort of deadline. You have to be accountable. Pretend like you're working for somebody at a corporation. You have to have something to show at the end of the day or the end of the week or whatever. If you haven't written 5 pages in a day, or if you're a writer, or if you haven't done sketches for 10 songs by the end of the week or whatever, then you are either being lazy or you're in artist territory, and you got to get the hell out of there. And there's nothing wrong with being a workman if you're doing some sort of if you're a welder or if you're a craftsman or whatever, and if you're doing something that you don't feel the need to elevate to an art form or whatever, do you, by all means. That's fine. But that's if you fancy yourself an artist, you gotta stop doing that a little bit. And if you have nothing to show for your time, you gotta stop doing it a lot of bit. Separate category, not lesser goals, but to do a good craft, to have a craft that represents you, to do something that you are proud of, that you stand by, that you can put your name on and feel good about. But we're getting into stuff that the vanguard is not going to be attracted to. Now, the other thing is, if you do something weird like that, you're probably not going to make money. You're probably not good enough to like make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. And even if you were, it would take you 10 years to do it. So there's going to be a whole lot of eating Wendy's. There's going to be a whole lot of sleeping in your car. There's going to be a whole lot of begging family and friends and shameful, oh, can you help me out type shit. Unless you're rich, unless you're some fucking rich person. And if you're rich, the likelihood of you doing anything worthwhile goes way down. So you got to work even harder if that's the case. So that vanguard path, if you're doing some weird shit, if you're doing experimental filmmaking or noise music or something, I'm not saying those are invalid goals. I'm saying if that's what you're drawn to, if that's what you choose to do, something really weird, just be fucking careful, man. Be careful. Make sure you keep track of your intentions. Okay, keep an eye on yourself, on what you're thinking. If you start to think, yeah, that guy's famous, I should be famous by now. Okay, that means that some sort of toxic thing has invaded your system, or you have brought about some sort of toxin in your brain. Okay, and you need to go work at the Gap for a few years and sleep in your car. So be very careful. Okay. I'm not saying that your fruity little art show bullshit that you want to do is a waste of time. I'm saying if that's the path you take, you need to be more careful than anybody else to make sure that you're not wasting your time, to make sure that at some point you're going to be able to make money or bring about some sort of change or situation for yourself that you want to see happen. You have to have a good a 5 and a 10-year plan, because that type of shit's going to take you 10 years to get right side up on. You don't just start throwing paint on a canvas and making money in 2 years or 3 years. That's not going to happen, okay? Another thing, Malcolm Gladwell is a shill. He's a pseudo-intellectual, self-proclaimed philo-Semite who says and does some very, very weird things. His book about, I forgot which book of his I read, but it was basically, he talks about hush puppies in it, and it basically ends up just being a fucking 200-page long diatribe about how good Jews are at networking, which is, yeah, I understand Jews are good at networking, that's fine, good for them, but how does that help me? But he does talk about how to become sort of master level at something, at a skill, you have to do it for 10,000 hours. That's probably true. The way that Scott Adams looks at it, he talks about being not master level, but good enough at, have a skill stack, he calls it, I think, and have it being like, he goes down, he talks about Trump and how Trump is, he's not the best negotiator, but he's a good negotiator. He's not the best public speaker, but he's a good public speaker. He's got a skill stack of things that he's good at, not great at, which I disagree with. I actually think that Scott Adams is just trying to persuade people that Trump is good when he says that, but the idea is that if you are good at like 5 things, that's better than being like master level at one thing. I don't think that may or may not apply to creative people. I think if you're doing music or if you're doing video or something, you really do have to get master level at something, or very close to it. You really do have to work on your skills. And this is now, if you're not doing the Vanguard thing, maybe if you're such a weird, if what you do is so weird and so special and so awesome, you don't really maybe you don't have to be master level skill. Now, if we're talking about someone more along the middle path, who's doing something creative, but it's not the weirdest thing in the world, you have to hone a skill. You really have to be dedicated. I get a lot of emails from people who are like, hey man, me and my friends were just fucking around making this video, and then they send me something that's like 15 minutes long, and it's not funny, and it's not well edited, and it's just a pile of garbage. Alright, if you want to get anywhere with something semi-traditional, you have to get super skilled, alright? Now, if you think about it, think about SXE Phil, think about Anthony Fantano, okay? Even people you hate, even people you think are fucking goobers, alright? Even Anthony Fantano, you see the guy, you want to take his head off with a sledgehammer. I'm kidding. I like Anthony. I like Anthony. He's cool. I really do like Anthony Fantano, by the way. But I don't watch SXE Phil, for example. But SXE Phil is fucking at the stupid little YouTube talking like and today we had this, and the cuts and all that shit and the colorful background. SXE Phil is fucking master level, man. And I'm not saying watch his shit. It sucks. I don't watch his shit, but he is a fucking master, man. All right, he doesn't get millions and millions of views by accident. He gets them partially because he has mastered the skill of making shitty YouTube videos. But yeah, just think about that. So if you're doing something semi-traditional, you have to build your skills. You have to respect the fact that I talked about this in KSTV. There's 50 million people who want to do what you want to do. You want to do music, you make beats. You make hip-hop beats. You make hip-hop beats in your bedroom. Whoa! You want to get a medal. He makes hip-hop beats in his bedroom. Are you kidding me? Well, why didn't anyone tell me about this kid? He makes beats. What? Why isn't this on MTV? you got to respect the fact that there's 50 million people who want to do the same dumb shit that you say you want to do. And the way you fix that is you get mad skills, G. You get mad skills, yo. Skills. You got to respect the skills. And this is very difficult. This is very difficult for a 17-year-old or for a 19-year-old or for a 22-year-old. You're precocious. You've been told your whole life that you're gifted. You're, you were the best artist at school, at your high school. You were all your drawings were the best or whatever. I mean, this is what I went through, man. I had my ego severely beaten down from the time that I was like, when I first entered college, and I was thrust into this environment of people who were just like me, who were so, oh, your drawings are so awesome, man. You drew that? Are you crazy? This guy could be an artist or something. In high school, I was in school, thrust into a school with fucking 300 people just like that, who had the same ego problem that I did, that thought, we were the shit, we were the best in the world. The process of unlearning that and realizing that the skill level of people who are actually out there in the world doing things, making money and making and doing good work, their skill level was fucking, an entire 10-story building beyond where I was at. So that was a process, and that's a process that if you don't go through that, you're gonna be confused and bitter. You're gonna keep being confused and bitter. You're gonna be wondering why nobody's patting me on my back when I'm 27. What's going on? I don't understand what's going on. People stopped congratulating me, and this process is either gonna be severely hampered or slowed down, or it might not even happen if you were using drugs or alcohol. I mean, that's the main effect that alcohol has, is that it for some certain types of people, for people who have that ego problem, in my opinion, is that it makes you feel comfortable socially when there's something wrong, and you just don't, you stop, that part of you stops growing, that part of you stops personally growing. So yeah, that's a problem. If you think you're a special snowflake and you're getting creative and you're the best artist in your school, you still have you've got those 10,000 hours to put in. There's no 18-year-old high school graduate who's put in enough hours to be master level at something creatively. Maybe there are. I'm sure there are. I'm sure you are. I'm sure this is you. You're making bedroom beats. There are definitely 18-year-olds fresh out of high school whose personal style and whose artistic vision is special enough to take that vanguard path without paying your dues skill-wise, and attract some sort of viral success, to be trash sale boys on Tumblr, or sad boys, or whatever. But that's statistically, that's not you. It's definitely not me. I wasn't cool. I'm still not cool. Johnny. But that's probably not you. So what you probably need to do if you want to be Mr. Creative is you need to put in those hours. You need to put in the work, and it's going to be years and years and years. And if you're 22 and you're sitting around thinking to yourself, hey man, you know what? I could get into this. We could make an album, man. We could go on Bandcamp and make an album, and it's fun. No, nope. That's not going to happen. You're not going to be making enough money from that to live, to be sustainable, to be on your own without your parents' help, and it's not going to happen for you without at least 5 years of very, very hard work, of constant applying yourself to it as if it were a job, as if it were something you're getting paid for when you're not getting paid for it. And it's probably going to take you 10 years. It might take you even more than that. So yeah, that's for the people who are going this traditional route, the you're not doing something that's so crazy. It's not, you're not going to Art Basel and shocking the world with your cool fashion sense. You're doing something regular. Now we get to the grim reality part of this video for all you creatives out there, which is don't do it. How you like them apples? Oh. Nope, we're not there yet. So here's a caveat about that traditional path. And that's this. If you get those skills, if you become the skill man, okay, and that's a hard process on its own, so that's asking a lot. This is like saying if you win, not the lottery, but if you win your scratch ticket, if you put in that work and you apply yourself and you become valuable somehow, at some point you're gonna have to choose, and that's a big if. Most people won't do that. Who have creative aspirations won't be able to do that, to build enough skills to be valuable to somebody else, to be valuable enough for someone to say, all right, I'll give you $400 to do this. So if you're able to do that, at some point you're going to have to decide how much of an indie artist you actually are. Are you going to be a filmmaker? Are you going to make films? Is that what you want to do? Or are you going to work as an editor for are you going to work as an editor for a marketing agency and do AT&T? And it's not even, they won't even, listen, if you get here, they won't even be commercials that are shown on TV. You're not even going to be the guy that does the TV commercials. You'll be doing shit for like internal presentations, like the AT&T conference when they have 500 people in the telecom the telecom industry come to a Marriott in Scottsdale, Arizona. The video that plays on the screen, that's going to be the video you edited if you spend 8 years getting good enough at video editing to get that spot. You see what I'm saying? So you could easily bust your fucking ass in a way that regular people don't have to do just to get a slot editing videos for corporate morale boosting conferences. You see what I'm saying? So at some point you're going to have to decide whether you want to be an artist or whether a independent, maker of some sort, or you want to go that other route. And being an independent maker is a gamble. It's a pretty serious gamble, and it's one that young people don't understand, because when you're young, you have your health insurance paid for by your parents. You don't, the idea of owning a house when you're 22, you're like, well, own a house? Who cares? I live in the dorm, man. Like all that shit. Like there's a ton of shit that's going to hit you like a freight train when you're 30 that you didn't think of when you're 22. And there are things that if you took that gamble, you might be kicking yourself. You might really decide that it's not the path that you wanted to take. You got to be realistic. Okay, this is when I say don't do it. What I'm really saying is just be brutally realistic with yourself. If you don't have the skills or you don't have the work ethic, just get a regular job, man. Just start making money. Because the thing is, if you get a regular job at like age 17 or as soon as you get out of college or whatever, and you don't take a 2-year or a 4-year break or exploration or whatever, I mean, imagine having 4 years of earnings. That's the difference. That's the difference between 26-year-old artist you and 26-year-old realistic you is, what's 4 times 40,000 is $160,000. Imagine if you had $160,000 in your pocket right now instead of some shitty Bandcamp page that nobody listens to. Think about that. Imagine if you're 26 and instead of doing some half-assed creative thing, you'd been working for 4 years making money. That's a pretty serious thing. Now, if you're dead set on it, if you know that it's what you got to do, don't let these words knock the wind out of you. But if it's something that you just if these words are able to knock the wind out of you, then maybe you would have half-assed it. In fact, you definitely would have half-assed it, and maybe it's not what you belong doing. There's an infinite variety of ways to win at the life game, okay? And becoming a semi-internet famous YouTuber is not one of them. Making money, building a family, building skills, doing something that matters, whether it's a work that will stand the test of time, or whether it's making a difference in someone or some group of people's lives or whatever. Being useful is what you might want to strive to do, and making smart financial decisions along the way so you can afford to go to Chipotle, my favorite restaurant, and to drive a Prius.